All right, well, I am Tracy Howard. I'm the STEM program director over at OSIT. It's really good to see so many of you here to celebrate this work that the Informal STEM Learning Environments Committee has been working on and this guide that we've put together. If you're just coming in, we will link the guide in the chat so it's easy to get to if you need it. And you can also find this guide on our website at osit.nv.gov. I do want to mention just a shout out to the Informal STEM Learning Environment Subcommittee here on your screen, and we have several of you here in the room representing, so I really appreciate you being here. And you all can help answer any questions that we get today. I know I see Erin is here with Get Outdoors Nevada, Caitlin with KTMB, Judy Krause couldn't make it. I do see Sean Hill is here. Chris Carroll is driving, so we won't bug him. Who else do we have? I want to make sure that I got everybody. And then myself and my colleague Lee Metcalf is here as well. And then to give you a little bit of background on this committee, we are a subcommittee of the Nevada STEM Advisory Council. And this subcommittee is working to support those informal STEM learning environments and programs across the state. This committee, a while ago, put together a survey and reached out to these informal STEM programs asking, what do you need help with? What can we do? What are some concerns? And one thing that kept coming up was evaluation. And so we started working on this project. We reached out to some additional contributors, which you'll see on your screen here. And some of these people here are in the room. I think I see Claire Parker is here. Katie is here. I think I saw Angela. Let me see, I don't think I missed anybody else. So we have a lot of brains in the room here. But we spent several months putting together everybody's expertise, doing research, looking through resources, and compiled everything into this guide that hopefully is easy to access and read, and you can get some quick information to help you get started on evaluation. I would like to know who else is in the room with us today. So if you don't mind, you can either unmute or you can throw into the chat or both. And if you'll just tell us who you are, if you're representing an organization, and why you're here today.
I'll talk. I don't mind talking. Partially because I think we have like a quarter of the people are from Envirolution that are outside of all these other organizations. So I'm Vanessa Robertson. I'm the co-executive director of Envirolution, and we're a Reno based, but we work all throughout Nevada and beyond in the STEAM sustainability education field. So we're here to learn how to continuously improve our programs.
Awesome. Thanks, Vanessa, for jumping in. I saw your colleague Laura is here. Angela, thanks for introducing yourself. Janet's here. Janet, it's nice to see you again. It's been a little while. Linda, nice to see you. Brittany with Envirolution. It's good to see so many faces today. All right. Well, Vanessa, you said something really important that I hope we have communicated with this evaluation guide, that this is an ongoing process for all of us to continue getting better, for all of our programs to continue getting better. And so we'll talk a little bit about that today. I do want to talk with you a little bit about, why would you use this, who could use it, and when you might use it, before we start digging into the actual guide. Vanessa, you kind of touched on this. Evaluation is just such a critical component of any STEM program for multiple reasons, to support, goal setting all the way from the beginning of that program development, to make sure you're aligning your program components to your goals, determining if you've had success, figuring out the impact on participants in the community. It really just helps that ongoing improvement. And an important piece that has come up through our conversations over and over again is that it can be really important for funding as well, to demonstrate the success that your program has had to funders. And the higher quality evaluation that you have, the more trust funders have in that evaluation process. In terms of who could use this guide, I think it could be really helpful for people involved at all levels to know kind of what the evaluation consists of and what types of things you're working towards. And so this guide could be useful for organizations, program developers, facilitators, and of course, evaluators of programs. And then when we talk about when you could use this guide, I'll say it again throughout your whole process. I think if you're at the very beginning stages and you're just investigating, what the community needs, what's already out there, this guide could be helpful to you as you're developing programs. If you have a program already, but it's kind of new still and you're seeing, how it's going, and, all the way to the other end of the continuum when you have a really well-established, well-known program and you're just looking for that ongoing improvement. It can be helpful for those established programs as well. So I'm curious, those of you here representing an informal STEM program, where your program is kind of along that continuum. Are you in the idea stage? Are you developing programs? Do you have a new program, or do you have an established program? Or I know there's lots of organizations out there that have programs in all different stages, but just out of curiosity and who's in the room, go ahead and throw into the chat where your program is. Hi, AJ, good to see you.
Good to see you. Sorry, I had to take a call really quickly that came in, so I apologize.
No, it's good to see you. All right. So we have people all over the continuum, which is really great. And I am hopeful you'll find something in this guide that will help you out. I see established programs in here, organizations at all levels, new program in development, long established programs, common household name programs. Awesome, new, developing, awesome, good. So we're kind of all over the place, which is good. And hopefully we can have some good discussions because of that. I do want to take a look at how this guide is organized. And again, if you open that link to the guide, feel free to open that up and jump into it. But I do want to point out the guide is organized into what you might evaluate. So of course it starts in the first few pages with some front matter, including an elaboration on some of the things we've already talked about, like who would use this, why, how is this helpful? But then these next sections get into the what you might evaluate. So the first or the next section here is organization evaluation. So if you're interested in evaluating your organization as a whole, you can jump to that section. If you're interested in evaluating a specific STEM program, you might jump to this next section. And then you'll see subsections for different things within the program you might evaluate. The next section is participant evaluation. So if you're evaluating for participant growth or engagement, you might jump to that section. And finally, we've organized, so this last section is an evaluation of your program's impact on the local STEM ecosystem. So that might include things like participants who go on to STEM fields, or it might include stakeholder engagement to help build that network. So when you go into the guide, you'll notice that it's organized by this, what you might evaluate for your program. And what I would like to do, rather than listening to me talk more, what I'd like to do is have you think about one of these 4 categories that you're interested in evaluating or that you're interested in learning more about. And pick one of those 4. And then what I'll have you do is go into a breakout room based on that category that you pick. Read, scan, don't read each word, but scan through those sections associated with that category and kind of just get a feel for what's in there. What do you notice? And within your breakout room, you know, everyone else in the room will be talking about the same section. So you can just have a quick little chat about what you see in that section. So before we do that, think about what are you interested in evaluating, which of those sections. So I'll give you a second to do that.
Tracy, can I ask a quick question
Yes.
first before? Can you just give us a really quick definition of what you consider informal versus formal? Just because I know some of us have different programs and that definition. So just with that lens in mind.
Yeah, of course. So when we say formal, we're thinking, you know, K-12 education. You're in a school classroom, you're learning to the standards, all that. So informal would be all of those things that support it, which can happen during the school day. It can happen outside the school day, but it's those things that support that and make those student experiences really rich. And you will see when you go into the guide, you'll notice some of the sections, particularly the program evaluation section, it does mention, you know, some of the things you might evaluate if you're an out of school day program versus an informal school day program. And so that might be something to look forward to. Okay, does everybody have an idea of which section you're interested in looking at? Does everybody have a link to the guide? You're ready. Perfect. So I'll give you about 7 minutes to just scan through that section and then have a chat with your group about what you notice, and then we'll come back out and talk about features of the guide. So go ahead and open the room. You can self-select which section you'll go into, and we'll see you in about 7 minutes. If you'd like help moving into your room, I can definitely do that. Oh, welcome back.
We were in the midst of a great conversation, then boop, kicked out.
Oh no, I'm sorry about that.
That's a good thing.
Good conversation.
Right.
Yeah. Thank you for doing that little exercise with me. I figured I could walk you through each section, but you know, you're all very good at navigating these types of documents. I'm glad you're having good conversations. I'm curious to hear what you noticed was in your section or what stood out.
You want us to just speak out, or?
Yeah, just jump in.
For the group that was with me, we looked at the program evaluation. We didn't get through a lot of it, but from what I saw, it was more I appreciated how things were identified and defined. Like for instance, what do you mean by the informal, what was meant by, okay, but those are gonna be connected directly, or I should say within the schools, what does that look like? I feel like those were clear definitions and everything went back to how does it align to the specific standards? So it's a great tool, and just from the content I reviewed today, I was like, ooh, I need to go back and realign some stuff for my program. So thank you.
That's great. I'm glad to hear that. This committee and the additional contributors that worked on this really were, oh my gosh, so knowledgeable, but really careful to make sure that those things were defined so that anybody using this could just pick it up and jump right in, and it would spark some thoughts. Awesome. Who else wants to share what they noticed?
I can share.
Thanks, Laura.
Yeah, I really liked the concept of STEM identity and just how to foster that, and like some of the barriers that, are there. And so that there was a good conversation between the participants on, and the interesting research that Katie is doing around some of that. So that was really cool.
Yeah, we're lucky to have some researchers here with us and on this team. Anybody else want to share before we go to the next piece? All right. Well, I just want to share with you a couple of features that you saw or will see as you continue looking through that guide. There are pieces within each section that talk about how you can evaluate for those. So if I jump back, the guide is organized by what you might evaluate. And then within each section, you'll see, how can I evaluate this? And so that might be either through surveys, rubrics, tools that are high quality and were developed with research in mind. University programs often will develop those. You'll also see examples where a program has partnered with an institute of higher learning to conduct a study. I think one of the case studies in there does an example of that. Or you also always have the option of contracting with an outside evaluator to do a formal eval. But I have a feeling if you're here, you're interested in creating, developing, implementing those on your own. You'll also see throughout the resource, throughout the guide, links to all of these different resources. I think throughout the guide, there are around 50 resources that are linked in there. Some examples would be banks of tools that you can use, rubrics that you might use, student surveys, research, and different state-based resources that you can use. Like I mentioned, both in text, there are links to all of those things, so you have a little bit of context for it. But then also at the end of the document, there are 3 pages with every single link linked there at the end again. So you'll see those. And then we also have 3 case studies embedded into the guide. So we have one from Sierra Nevada Journeys, we have PBS Reno, and then we have First Nevada. And I believe these represent program evaluation, participant evaluation, and impact on the ecosystem. So you can kind of see an example of each of those within the guide. So as you go through, those are some things that you'll see. I do hope that you will spend some time reading a little deeper. I know 7 minutes wasn't enough, but hopefully it got you interested to read more. Please share this guide with your colleagues. I encourage you to use it with your own programs. I also will mention, now that this resource is out here, you might reference it when you're writing grant applications. Very often funders will ask about your evaluation process, what your goals are and how you'll meet them. And so take a look at this guide and see how you can strengthen that. I think if you can have a strong evaluation, it will really help your application stand out. So keep that in mind. I'll also say if you're interested in staying involved with this committee's projects, after this, we're regrouping to see what informal STEM programs need next, or how we could build on this project. And so if you're interested in staying involved, let us know. You can either shoot me an email or put your email in the chat and we'll make sure to keep you updated. You can also follow us on social media or visit our website. But if you have any questions, feel free to send me an email. I would love to talk with each of you more about this guide. I can connect you with members of the committee and the contributors if you'd like to talk with them more about their expertise on this project. But I'll open it up to the group to see if you have any questions for us about this evaluation guide. All right. I am